Before we get into today's video, here's a little fun fact for you. Did you know that Chad Gable has apologized more times than Roman Reigns? The more you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and yes, it is indeed a fact that Chad Gable has apologized more times than Roman Reigns. But this Chad Gable redemption arc is probably my new favorite thing about Monday Night Raw. And I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think a lot of fans are as well. Because when you look at the work that he's done as the original Grande Americano, the insane greatest wrestling storyline ever between original Grande Americano and El Grande Americano, all that body of work has been absolutely incredible. And it really does show that the WWE has really underutilized Chad Gable over the years. And now, with all this momentum that Chad Gable has, I think this is a time for the WWE to say it is time for us to finally give Chad Gable the push that he should have gotten years ago. I think, we look back at WrestleMania 40. I think it's safe to say that maybe instead of Sami Zayn, that it should have been Chad Gable defeating Gunther at WrestleMania 40 and not Sami Zayn. I think it's safe to say that Chad Gable should have gotten a singles push a long time ago. But is 2026, maybe 2027 here, as we do enter the second half of 2026, is this going to be the time that we finally get the Chad Gable singles push? And I think for a lot of fans, we do have to talk about the obvious. The Intercontinental Championship, which is a part of his whole entire redemption arc with the Lucha Libre, as Penta is our current Intercontinental Champion. And I think it is quite possible that, we look at the end game for Chad Gable here, and why does it have to stop at just the Intercontinental Championship? Fans have been speculating that maybe this whole thing will lead to Chad Gable versus Penta at SummerSlam in Minnesota, where Chad Gable is from. And I think that would be an amazing full circle moment that I think if Chad Gable versus Penta doesn't happen at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship, where Gable finally wins a championship that he's been chasing for years, I think it would be a missed opportunity. And when you look at how great Penta's run has been with the Intercontinental Championship, I think this would be a great conclusion to that run for Penta as the Intercontinental Champion. I've liked the fact that Penta has apologized to Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee. He's apologized to Penta's brother, Rey Fenix. He's apologized to Penta himself. And even admitting that the whole thing started with the loss to Penta when Penta made his Raw debut. So, the idea here that, what is the end game? And I think short-term wise, I think it is the Intercontinental Championship, winning the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam from Penta. And I think getting that respect from Lucha Libre and all the Lucha's Libre wrestlers in the WWE, and just letting Chad Gable be Chad Gable. But after the Intercontinental Championship, let's say Gable wins the SummerSlam, let's say he holds it until WrestleMania or some point next year, whatever. Then at that point, when do we go, you know what? Maybe it's time for a world title push. And yeah, right now the world title right now is kind of busy. You got Roman Reigns on Raw, you got Cody Rhodes on SmackDown. You got a lot of the heavy hitters right now, right? So, obviously, Chad Gable, if he were to move into that world title scene, it would be next year. But I think this is the chance for the WWE to do something with Gable within that world title scene in the long term. Chad says he has to apologize to more people, and obviously we do know that Chad Gable is referring to Otis and Tozawa and Maxine. And it is very interesting that when Gable was walking to the ring before his match against Rusev, he walked by Maxine talking to Austin Theory. And we do know that Otis and Tozawa has been trying to convince Maxine not to hang around Austin Theory, not hang around the Vision. But imagine, just imagine the pop if you have the Vision beating down Otis, Tozawa, and Chad Gable makes the save. Like, that would absolutely be incredible. Just a part of the whole entire redemption arc for Chad Gable. Him saving Otis, Tozawa. Now, I do fully expect the Street Profits to win the tag team titles next Monday from the Vision. With the help of Seth Rollins, who also has a match against Braun Breaker and Night of Champions next week. So I fully expect the Street Profits to be the tag team champions. But I could see a world where the Vision is upset for losing the tag titles. Maybe Seth beats Braun Breaker again. And we can finally put this whole Seth Rollins Vision thing to rest. And then they take out their frustration on Otis and Tozawa. And maybe Maxine does the turn. And we eventually get to the point where Chad Gable makes the save and saves Otis and Tozawa from a beatdown from the Vision. And Chad Gable continues his redemption arc within Alpha Academy. And at that point, like I said, I think maybe you can include Maxine, because I think at some point maybe she might turn on Otis and Tozawa. I don't know. They're doing this really slow build with it, but yeah, the redemption arc that Chad Gable is on has been one of my favorite things about Raw lately, since he made his comeback and how he's been apologizing to everyone. Like, even the fact that Chad Gable said he flew all the way to Italy to SmackDown, even though he's a Raw superstar, to apologize to Rey Fenix. So I like this whole redemption arc, how Chad is apologizing. You know, we even go back to the end of that match with original El Grande versus El Grande, and Chad Gable apologized to an entire country, okay? So, Chad Gable has been doing this amazing redemption arc where I think, you know, the WWE has lightning in a bottle here, where I think, again, as I said, short-term wise, if he's not beating Penta for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam, then that would be a huge mistake on WWE's part, and another Chad Gable fumble by the Triple H regime here under his control, because like I said earlier, I think it's safe to say in hindsight, looking back, that Chad Gable should have been the one to beat Gunther at WrestleMania 40. But long-term wise, I think it's quite possible if the WWE can use all this momentum here and build it up over the next year or so. Like I said, the world title scene a little bit busy right now, especially if you got the bloodline on Raw. Maybe CM Punk is going to enter that little title scene over there on SmackDown with Cody Rhodes. You got Gunther, so you got Sami Zayn kind of circling around over there too. But maybe by 2027, we're looking long term wise. By this time next year, where it's the King of the Ring tournament, Chad Gable, he had his run with the Intercontinental Championship, and we're looking at maybe King Chad Gable, where he's going to SummerSlam to win a world title. Maybe he wins Money in the Bank. Even further down the line with like a 2028 Royal Rumble win or something. But again, long-term wise, I think a world title push is very reasonable and I think realistic with this new Chad Gable character, and I hope that the WWE looks at this end game for Chad Gable and go, you know what, we can finally make a world champion out of him. And ideally, I think it would probably be the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if he would get the Cody belt, so to speak, as everyone calls it, the Cody belt, the Roman belt, the Cena belt. I don't know if he would get that title with the WWE Championship, but the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw, I think that might be very possible. But then again, I've said the same thing about LA Knight, so who knows? But let me know in the comments below, guys. Are you enjoying this Chad Gable redemption arc here, as he has been apologizing to all the Lucha legends in WWE, between Ray, Penta, Ray Phoenix, Dragon Lee, and let me know what you guys think. Should Chad Gable versus Penta happen at SummerSlam, and do you want to see Chad Gable be elevated into the world title scene in 2027 and beyond? And as always, hit that like and subscribe button, as I do produce weekly wrestling content here at Ringside Cinema. And as always, I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.